Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Mobile App Academy, where we show you how to build and configure mobile apps on the Now platform. My name, as always, is Charlie Steiner, product marketer here at ServiceNow. And today we'll be walking you through how to get started with mobile publishing via a deep dive into everything you need to know to activate mobile publishing. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Mobile App Academy is a live building series that focuses on managing and building out mobile apps in real time. We have product experts here to provide guidance, best practices, and answer your questions. These Mobile App Academy sessions happen every 2 weeks here on Zoom. And you can find our recordings on YouTube Thursday mornings, Pacific time. As always, a few resources I'd love to point out for anybody new. We have a great getting started self-service section of our community page with a lot of recently updated white papers and best practices guides that'll walk you through everything you need to know to get started with mobile. We also have a plethora of other resources like labs, our K21 sessions you can find, and mobile training on Now Learning, as well as our playlist down here on the left to our YouTube channel. And this contains all our previous recordings. All these links will be posted in the chat shortly as well. One final thing to note is if you like these sessions, these App Academy sessions are sister teams in the virtual agent, product management organizations, the HR, and the performance analytics organization also runs similar academies. So be sure to check them out if those are of interest to you, and they can be found in their respective communities. And just before we get started, I would like to preface this session that this is a little bit, maybe 26 and a bit minutes today, but this has been a pre-recorded session because this allowed us to cover up a few pieces of sensitive information that we did not want to make public, but rest assured, the information is all very much still relevant, and we do have Fuho and David Ha here in the chat to answer any of your questions at the end, so do get them in there and we'll get to them at the end. Alrighty, with all that said, I will flip over to the video.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Mobile App Academy. My name is David Ha, and I'm an outbound product manager here at ServiceNow. I also have Fu Ho with me, who's a solution architect on the mobile team here at ServiceNow as well. And we want to give a warm welcome to everyone joining us live here today. And for today's topic, we'll be giving an overview and walkthrough of our mobile publishing service in Quebec, addressing many of the common questions that we're hearing from customers, as well as mobile community. And today's focus will really be us giving a deep dive and getting our hands dirty on what it looks like to submit your own mobile publishing request through our mobile publishing service. If you're looking for more of a general overview, we also have a mobile publishing webinar that we've hosted in April, which you can find on our mobile community site. And if you check out the mobile community homepage and then open up the Essential Trainings resources, there will be a link to that webinar. And with that, you'll be able to learn all about the publishing service and what it has to offer, from what drives the needs for mobile publishing, as well as common use cases, what is supported and what's not supported, as well as training resources and so forth. So highly recommend watching that webinar as your intro video into mobile publishing. But in case you're completely new to this, let me give my quick 2-minute spiel before I pass it over to Fu, who will walk us through the end-to-end process. So in case you're unaware, mobile publishing is our end-to-end service that provides branding and ongoing application management for custom builds of your ServiceNow mobile apps. And if you take a look at your mobile branding options today, majority of customers who use mobile today will pretty much stick to using the public mobile app store clients. They might not have a lot of resources, and maybe they're interested in only, what's the fastest path to resolution with minimal effort. And with the public app store path, they're able to change the internal color schemes of their mobile apps, such as the header, links, buttons, and icons. And that's something that's available for them to do without using the mobile publishing service. But we also have a subset of customers who have a very specific set of requirements that require them to have their own custom build of these ServiceNow mobile apps. Whether it's because of security requirements or distribution requirements, or maybe a little bit of both, this is where mobile publishing comes in, which will allow customers to publish custom versions of their ServiceNow mobile apps, and often with their branding assets as well as unique management methods. And so when customers choose to go down this mobile publishing route, this is what they're signing up for. Mobile publishing allows you to manage your own custom branded version of the ServiceNow mobile clients. And on top of already being able to change the internal color schemes You're also able to customize the app name, the company icon, and splash screen of your custom clients. This will also support the ability to wrap your MDM and MAM SDKs with that custom built app. And since this is a managed service, you don't have to worry about the ongoing app management. We update the public App Store clients quite regularly with the latest features and security updates, but you'll have more control on which updates you'd like to uptake through this managed service. And for mobile distribution, you'll also be able to privately distribute your custom apps to your end users. This will enable your branded app to be published to your organization's eyes only. And so you'll have control over how this is distributed versus exposing it to the entire public app store. Okay. And so if having a custom build of the ServiceNow mobile app is something your organization is looking to do, here are some considerations to take note of before getting started. First and foremost, mobile publishing is a premium service offering. Once you flesh out the details with your account rep and become entitled to use mobile publishing, you'll then need to install the mobile publishing plugin from the ServiceNow store. And once you have that plugin installed, it will take you to your publishing setup form. Second is that you need to have a Google Firebase account if you plan on rolling this custom app to your Android users. You'll need the Firebase account to set up your push notifications for Android. And then lastly, you'll also need a Apple Business Manager account to get started with mobile publishing. This will allow you to manage your iOS distribution to your users. And Fu will actually dive deeper into this during his walkthrough. But once you've taken all these considerations into mind, you are now ready to begin your mobile publishing journey. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Fu now, who will walk us through the end-to-end process.
Thanks, David. Thanks for that intro. Hello, everyone. I want to show you how we're going to submit a branded app end-to-end, and I will go in detail on what you need to do and provide some tips on what to look for as well. So here is my instance. So as David mentioned, there's three things that we need before we do mobile publishing. So the first thing is on your instance, you need to install the mobile publishing plugin. So go to the ServiceNow store and type in mobile publishing. And it's right here. And make sure that when you install it, make sure that you have licensing entitlement enabled. So basically talk to your account exec to make sure that you're able to use mobile publishing. And so once you get that installed, we're going to go back to your instance and just type in mobile. You should see a new subject here, or new drop down, says mobile branding. And to start your request, click on request branded app. And for today, we're going to request an agent app, so fulfiller. So here I'm going to say request custom branding. In this form, the first thing you do, you can select either an iOS or an Android app. For this case, I want to do both. And you need to provide some sort of request context. So I'm just going to make up big name. And then you also here, you want to add a tester. And this tester is basically if you want to do test flight. So basically for iOS, once you can test the app before it goes into your Apple Business Manager account. So this is optional, but for this case, I'm just going to provide a user. Okay. Now you need to provide a name for your application. And so for this request, we have a company name called Vortex. And I'm going to call it Vortex Agent. And then the short name, you can also call it as well. The short name is basically what's going to show up on the mobile app itself. So you can have Vortex something like company, whatever, but I'm going to keep it both the same. And here I'm going to use some text. So Vortex enables digital workflows and unlock productivity for employee enterprises alike. The next thing, this is optional as well. So as David mentioned, we support MDM SDKs, but we only support Intunes and BlackBerry. So here you can only select both. Select either or you can say none. So for this company, we're just going to say none. This one right here, it says analytics support for pre-Orlando instances. So if you have an instance Orlando or above, you don't have to worry about this because we're using AppSy to collect analytics. But if you have an instance before that, you would probably need to check on this. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is the next thing I'm going to say is kind of iOS branding setup. So this is the basic information, your name, description, and so forth. Next thing, the first thing is to ask me for iOS branding setup. And it's going to say Apple DEP ID org name. So what is this? As David mentioned, you have to set up your Apple Business Manager account. So you go to your businessapple.com. And here you log into your Apple Business Manager account. And so in order to get your org ID and name, you want to go to settings. And under settings, there's a section called Enrollment Information. And at the top of here, it says ServiceNow, Inc. dot. That is the org name. So make sure that this is spelled exactly the same, meaning that if you type it in and you forget the dot, it would fail. So make sure you get the whole entire name. And we're going to put it in the org name. And then the ID is the same thing. It's down here. Let's get the value of that. Okay. Because it's branded, we're going to use our own icons, and colors. We don't want to use a default branding because that's the general release one. So the first thing it asks you is the app icon. So make sure that it is following these requirements. So I have it on my drive. So the first one is the app icon. The next one is the splash screen. The splash screen is optional. You can leave this blank. And then you can also change the color of your black screen, your background color, if you don't have a splash screen. So basically, yeah, just put in your icon and your splash screen and you're done with iOS. The next thing is the Android branding setup. Now, you notice that when you've created your name right here, Vortex Agent, it automatically created a Android package name, which is this. Okay. This is going to be very important. Now, the next thing to ask you is provide your Android Firebase token. As David mentioned, we need the token for push notification to work. So let's go to your Firebase account. So here is Firebase. And in your project, we want to add a new app. So click on, so I have a project here, the ServiceNow mobile, and we're going to add an Android. It's going to say register your app. And this is where the package name comes from that you need to enter. So we'll go back to your instance copy that, paste it here, and we can just call it Vortex Agent app. And then we can hit register. Okay. You don't need to download any of this stuff, so we can close this out. We just want to register the application based off that package that we copied. And then we want to go to the one we just created. So it's Vortex Agent. So go into the Vortex Agent app that you've created. And what you want is this app ID key here. Okay. So just to recap. So basically, go into, once you register your application, it's going to generate an app ID, and this is the app ID that we need. This one, Trusted Certificate Authority CAs. If you have a special use case where that you have to use a specific SSL token signed by your certificate authority, then you can add it here. But typically we use our own, but this is for a very special use case. The next thing is you can custom brand your icons, and colors, just similar to iOS. So again, it's going to ask for the launcher icon. So let's go to here and publishing Android. So we're going to go with the foreground. We're going to go with the background for launcher. We're going to go with the icon launcher. And notification icon. And the splash. So make sure your assets are following these requirements. If not, it's going to reject your when you upload. Okay, and at the very bottom, you'll see a thing called submit. Click on submit. Let's talk about what happens when you submit the application. Notice that in the Fulfiller app, it says build in progress. There are a few phases. One is when you submit it, it's going to kick off a process where we basically build this custom app based off your assets. And for iOS, what's going to happen is that we're going to submit the application to Apple, and Apple has a review process. And this review process takes about 5 to 15 business days. So just be mindful of that. It'll take some time for it to be approved. So once it's approved, it's going to ask you, do you want to test it? This is where the test account that I've entered, and you can use test flight to test it, and then you can say, I'm okay with it. Please push it to Apple Business Manager. Okay. So right now it's in a building process. So this is going to take a few days. Once it's complete, you'll see that you'll be able to download it in addition to knowing what's the status of it. So this is for the agent app. I've already done it for our Now app. And so here you can see Vortex Now. And the branding update script, this is what you should see after a few days. We will give you the APK file. So now you can download it to your down to your computer, as so. And basically, you can take this APK file and upload it to a portal page or your MDM for distribution. And then here for iOS, it's going to say deploy from B2B store, which means it's going to your Apple Business Manager account. So let's go to your Apple Business Manager account here. One pro tip that I want to mention is that when you set up your Apple Business Manager account, you get this. The one thing that you need to do is, by default, this custom apps here is disabled. Make sure you enable it, because if it's disabled, you'll never see the branded app. So we've seen a lot of customers wondering, hey, where's my branded app? It's because they forgot to enable it. So just enable it. It's always good practice to do it one time when you first set this up. Once that's enabled and the application is ready to deploy, it's going to show up in this thing called custom apps. And here you can see that it's the Vortex Now app. So when I click on it, there are two types of licensing. There's the managed or the redemption codes. Okay, so managed is if you have a MDM and you want to distribute it to your MDM environment. And then redemption codes, it's typically if your users have personal devices, they don't have a corporate device, they can distribute it through there. So I will show you how it looks like on my phone. So here on my phone, you notice how I have it installed, and basically it's identical to the GA version. Notice that I have to enter my instance name. Now, if you have an MDM, you can basically pre-populate this and your users don't have to type it in. But for this Vortex Now, I'm using a redemption code one. That's why you're seeing it. I'm going to move this out of the way. And so that's how you get your branded app onto your device. The last step that you need to be aware of is the push notification for iOS. You're going to get a file here. It's going to be called a P12 file. Every time you submit a new request, we will generate a P12 file. And this P12 file, you need to upload it, manually upload it to your instance. And we have documentation on our product docs on how to do that. So basically, you're going to download a P12 file, and you have to go to system definitions, certificates, create a new one, and just follow these simple steps, and change your type to PKCS 12 key store, and upload your P12 file. And basically, that will override your push notification for iOS that sends any messages to your branded application. So that's a really quick overview of the application, the process. David, do you have any questions?
Yeah, we have a few questions that are asked quite commonly on both community and the questions that we get from customers. The first one being, you mentioned that it takes around 5 to 15 days to get after you submit after you put in your submission for the request, they hear back around 5 to 15 days for iOS. What is the turnaround for Android? Is that also the same?
That's a really good question. So the build process it takes about a day. However, we will once Apple says that it's been approved, our pipeline says that we will display both of them will be available once iOS is approved. So even though Android takes about a day to build, you'll be able to, if you're submitting for both iOS and Android, Android is going to wait for iOS and then it's going to show here in 10 to 15 business days. However, if you request a custom branded app for Android, it's by itself, there's no dependency on waiting. And so it's going to take about 1 business day. So just want to clear that up. But that's a really good question.
Adding to that, how should customers deal with updates? We have updates that happen on the public app stores. So how would a customer go about updating and uptaking the latest updates for their custom apps?
Yeah, so updates are not automatically created for you. So this is what David said in the very early beginning about updates, that you can control which ones you want to update. So every time there's an update, we will send you emails notifying that there is a new version number. So it's up to you if you want to update it or not. So if you do want to have the latest version, you have to go back and request a new branded app, and then it's going to kick off the whole process. And for updates, it's going to be a lot faster. Apple will approve it in about 3 to 5 business days, so the turnaround is a lot quicker. It's going to generate a new P12 file. So it's recommended that every time you get a new P12 file, you upload it to your instance so that your certificate will never expire. But just to answer that question, you have to manually request it for now.
One other question, now that you've completed the submission process and you have your branded app in the Apple Business Manager, how would you then get it into your MDM?
Oh, great. So I recently posted an article on how to do it with Microsoft Intune. So if you go to our community site, here's our mobile app platforms. Under deployment consideration, we have an article. So at the very bottom here, it says, sync your branded mobile iOS app to Microsoft Intune. So if you click on here, there's a step-by-step process on how to do it for Intune. And it's the same thing. It's you basically go to your settings and you have to download this thing called a token. And then you upload the token to your, this is Intune, upload your token to your Intune, and then it's going to sync. And then that's where, when you request it, it's going to appear as an application in your MDM. So this is for Intune. Now, it's different for everyone else. AirWatch, Mobile Iron. So it's better for you to go to your MDM product docs and see how that's done. This is very common where Apple Manager will sync with your MDM. But for this article, it's only for Intune. But the concept is exactly the same. Download token, upload your token, and it will sync up.
Fu, were there any other quick pointers or tips that you want to call out before we wrap up for today? If no other.
Yes, I do. So this recording, what we did was we showed you how to get the push notification for iOS and Android. Now, you notice that you have to set up an account with Firebase, and in the future, we plan to remove that. We plan to automate everything on our backend. So we're looking into removing that whole Firebase portion of it. So you just have to worry about the Apple Business Manager. So I just want to call that out. It's going to get a lot better each iteration. It's going to get a lot easier. So if you have any questions, definitely post it on our community site to ask us, and we will post these new feature releases there as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Fu. I think that wraps up everything so far. There's no questions coming in the chat, so we'll go ahead and wrap up. I do want to note at the end of this Zoom session, there will be 3 quick question surveys that will appear on your browser. It would be great if you can just take a few seconds to answer those. And what we're really trying to learn from all of you is whether the topic of this week is relevant whether it's useful or not, and what other topics you'd like for us to explore in the future. So if there's any pressing topics that you'd like us to deep dive on, let us know in the post Zoom survey. But with that said, thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll have another Mobile App Academy in 2 weeks at 10 a.m. PST. For the latest updates and information, make sure to subscribe to our mobile community forum, and we hope to see you again at our next Mobile App Academy. Thanks, everyone.